Hello and welcome to Policy Bazaar. I'm Arjun Bhagat. Now, an average Indian lives longer today than he did a couple of decades ago. It's because of access to modern life-saving healthcare. But with medical expenditures skyrocketing, how many will be able to afford it? That's where medical insurance comes in. And that's what our show is all about, to choose the right insurance for you and your family, to be able to read that fine print before pushing in hard-earned money. Now, to answer all your queries about health insurance, we have Yashish Dahiya, CEO and founder of PolicyBazaar.com. Welcome to the show, Yashish. But before we get into the specifics of health insurance and how to buy it, tell me, what is health insurance and why is it important for us?
Okay. So health insurance essentially is about covering all those risks that arise out of, you either falling sick, having a medical emergency, unexpected, you having a critical illness, you're having an accident, along which, you have hospital expenses, which come along, which you need to get covered. That's primarily what it covers.
Now, what are the different types of health insurance?
Well, you could take an individual health insurance for anyone. You can take a family floater policy. A family floater policy typically includes a few members of the family. And you can have covers which are more for hospitalization or cashback kind of plans where you get a certain lump sum amount every day that you're in hospital or whenever you have a critical illness.
Right. And now, what are the different benefits of individual health insurance?
So in an individual health insurance, as an individual, if you have a sickness or if you have a critical illness or if you have an accident and you need to go to hospital, your hospitalization costs are taken care of. And that's precisely what an individual plan does. Now, we would always recommend an individual to take that plan before he gets a little older, because then he can get it without medicals. After 45, he will usually have to give medicals, and there's a chance he may not get the plan.
Now, we've heard a lot about family floaters. What are family floater plans, and what are the merits and demerits of this?
Okay, so a family floater plan is where instead of taking individual covers for each member of the family gets together as a group and says, if anybody falls sick, up to an amount of, let's say, 3 lakh rupees, anybody can use that floater policy flexibly. So anybody falls sick up to 3 lakh rupees, any one member can use it. Now the advantage of that is that everybody is unlikely to fall sick together, and you may have different amount of coverages being used by different people. Typically, if you were to take 3 lakh cover for each individual, it would cost about 2-3 times more than taking a family floater policy for the entire family. So the advantage is it just pools risk, and you can use it at different times of the year. And your no claim benefits pass on from year to year for the entire family. Now, you should not take a family floater policy if your family is very dispersed. You should take it if it's a close-knit policy, because the premium is always linked to the oldest member of the family. And the oldest member of the family, if he's very dispersed in age, may have very different requirements and health risks to the younger people.
Now, there are so many different health insurance policies. I'm told that there are nearly 1,000 different products being offered by the various companies that we have. Now, how do you go about buying that health insurance policy for you and your family?
Well, you've got to, first of all, think about what is it that you want covered in a health policy and what are the fine prints to look out for in a health policy. The most important thing that you need to understand is 70% of all claims come because of pre-existing diseases over a period of time. So you need to make sure that your policy covers the pre-existing diseases, and when does it start covering them? So what is the wait period? The second thing you need to know is how long does this policy continue for? When you turn 70 or 80, will the company stop providing you this policy? Or will they increase the premium too much? So, does it have a lifelong cover? And there are policies now that offer lifelong renewals. You need to then make sure, if you're taking it for maternity cover, etc., what is the wait period for maternity cover? You need to make sure in your policy, are there any co-payments? Is there any room rent cap? Are daycare procedures covered? See, most policies do not cover you if you're going in for the day for a cataract operation and come back out. You have to stay for 24 hours. So you need to make sure, are those covered or not covered? You need to obviously look at the premium. And finally, you need to know, will it give you benefits if you have no claims? Will it, that's precisely what you look for in a plan. Once you do that, you will figure that there are probably a very small fraction of policies that will actually meet your needs. And then it's quite straightforward to choose between them.
Now, there's specific products. If we take high-end individuals, what are some of the areas that they should be looking at?
So if you're looking at any high-end individual, essentially insurance is about those risks which have less chance of happening, but when they happen, they have a big impact which you cannot usually take care of on your own. So if you are somebody earning more than 10 lakh rupees, if you get malaria and you go to hospital for 20,000, that's not really what you need health insurance for. What you need health insurance is if your wife has brain tumor or you have brain tumor, or if you have, a massive accident and the entire family has to stay in hospital for 6 months, or whatever that be. So for larger, personal accident or critical illness cover become very important for you. As your income reduces, the basic health insurance cover becomes more and more important for you. Now, the basic health insurance cover, you should typically take about 1 times your income. There's no point taking more than that. Essentially, it doesn't help because beyond that, if you have any expenditure because of a critical illness or a personal accident, it will not be because of, malaria or typhoid or any of those diseases.
Now, taking a step back, how early should one start planning for health insurance?
I think as early as possible, you should have a health insurance cover, but definitely before 40, because after 40, pre-existing diseases start to set in. And once that disease sets in, whatever the insurance company says, nobody will take a certain risk. So if you have, for example, if you've had a heart attack, then there's a pretty high chance in the next 10 years you're going to have repeats of this. And no insurance company will take on a certain cost. Insurance is not meant to cover certainties. Insurance is meant to cover uncertainties. And hence you must take it before the disease that you're expecting, that uncertainty becomes a certainty. And typically for men at least before 40. That's what I would say.
And how does one actually decide what the cover should be? 1 lakh, 2 lakh for an individual or a family? How do you actually decide that?
So, see, a plan needs to be structured. Just taking a large cover does not guarantee that your plan will work. So in my view, typically, if your income is less than 10 lakhs or less than, let's say, 7-8 lakhs, you should take about 1 times your income. The lesser your income, the little more your cover should be, because it becomes important to you that you have that 1 lakh cover. At least 1 lakh cover you should take. If your income is more than 3-5 lakhs, then you should take 3 lakhs or 5 lakhs cover. I don't think you should take a more than 5 lakh rupee cover. Doesn't help, because there's almost no disease you will have which is going to cost you more than 5 lakhs today. You should take covers from companies where you can add them on in the future. So, you can increase your cover in the future, and that's a must. The other thing you must ensure is you have critical illness cover and a long-term critical illness cover, because critical illnesses will set in at some point and they will cost you the most. You should ideally not take a cover for maternity, etc. You should ideally not try to cover certainties. That's what my view is. So, young people taking a cover which will cover you for maternity because they know they're going to have kids. No, you know what? Just put the money in the fixed deposit and use that. That's much better. Or use your company cover, because companies are usually covered for that purpose. So these are the kind of things that I would suggest that people look at.
And apart from this, there is an inherent advantage as far as health insurance is concerned. You do get a tax break for it.
Yes, you do get a tax break up to 15,000 rupees for yourself. So up to 15,000 rupees of annual investment in health insurance goes tax free. So you don't have to pay taxes on that. However, if you are buying for your parents, you can get an additional 20,000 rupees. So you can take it up to 35,000 rupees. So if I buy for myself, if me and my wife are both paying, it may make sense for us to take individual policies, because up to 15,000 rupees each of us is covered. And if we take for our parents, 20,000 rupees each are covered. So we can actually cover parents for a lot more. So there is a tax advantage.
Now, there are a lot of questions about senior citizens. A lot of companies are reluctant to give health insurance to them. How does somebody go about that?
See, the moment any disease or any uncertainty becomes a certainty, insurance is not meant to cover it. You have to have financial planning for it. However, for senior citizens, there are plans. They usually have co-opting procedures. So between 45 to 60 is the difficult phase, because neither do the co-investment plans start, and nor do you get plans without medicals. And some disease or other is there which kind of finds a reason for rejection. So, 45 to 60 people do end up having something or the other. Beyond 60, you usually get co-payment plans, which you can get without any medicals. You would typically pay about 20% as co-payment in this, and these plans can last you all your life. And these are good plans to take. Co-payment is a good thing. It keeps us honest. We as consumers should look at our insurance as a partnership with the insurance company, rather than just taking money from the insurance company. Because essentially the insurance company is going to cover our risk, but we have to stay honest. So the co-investment allows that. Claim settlement is much quicker when you have co-investment. So typically you get those plans.
Now time to take your questions, and to help answer them is Yashish Dhaya, CEO and founder of PolicyBazaar.com. Now Ashok Sasne from Mumbai says that he wants to buy a health insurance plan for his family, including his parents. He asks how he should go about selecting that perfect health plan for him.
First of all, he should look at all the health insurance plans in the market and look for a few points. The first of them is, when do pre-existing diseases start getting covered in those plans? So what is the wait period? He should look at whether critical illnesses are covered or not, whether daycare procedures are covered or not. If he's looking for a maternity cover at all, which he may or may not be, he should look at when does that start getting covered. What are the different co-payments that are required in the different plans? Specifically as he looks for his parents, there may be plans where co-payments do come in. What are the room rent caps of various plans and what is he comfortable with? Once he's done this analysis, he should then decide, he should have got a small list of maybe 5-6 plans which he can then take it from. The second question he'll have is, does he want an individual plan or does he want a family plan? And that will depend on the age gap between his parents and himself. So if he is about 25 and his parents are 45, they could still do a single plan, but he must remember that 20 years from now, he'll be 45 and his parents will be 65. And at that stage, they would have very different needs. So I would suggest that, parents and adults should not be put into one plan. They should be put into two different plans. That's a more sane way of working, because the parents will have different needs as time progresses. Their needs will be more around critical illness, pre-existing diseases, where younger people would have needs around accident insurance, etc. So that's I think he should look at these plans.
We have another viewer, Yashish Mahindran from Bangalore, asked whether it's better to take one family insurance for him and his mother and a separate one for his father, who is 61 years old.
So usually I would suggest that when you're an adult taking a plan for your parents, you must take two separate plans, because as time progresses, see, the moment you go beyond 40 and as you approach 60 and beyond, your needs for insurance start changing. Your needs become almost a certainty. Almost every 2 years you will go to hospital. There will be expenses, and the kind of policies you will get will start differing. And attaching a person who's much younger, more than 20 years younger, into the same plan does not really make sense. So I would say you should go for different plans. Now, if his father is 61, he should go for a co-opting plan like a Star Health or like a Bajaj plan or even a Max Bupa plan. For himself, depending on what his income is and what his needs are, as I said, he should go through the list that I had mentioned of those 7-8 points, which essentially include what are the co-payments, when does the pre-existing disease cover start, when are critical illnesses covered, are there any co-payments in this particular plan. He should look at all those features and look at the premiums and then decide what is he comfortable with.
Alright, we've got P.S. Kumar. Now he says that he's married and his wife is expecting their first child. Now, is there any policy which includes maternity cover immediately?
So the answer is yes and no. You can, for your company, if your company is more than 20 people, take out a company insurance policy and that can cover maternity from day one. But besides that, on individual policies, no, there is none. The shortest waiting period is 2 years. That is the Max Bupa policy. Typically, the waiting period is 4 years. My suggestion is you should not, it will cost you the same. If you take a policy, keep it for 2 years and have no other claims on it, and then use it for maternity, it will cost you about the same as the maternity cover.
So now we have Mohinder Singh who sent his query by mail, and he wants to he wants guidance on which policy to take for himself and his wife and his daughter.
Okay. So this is a typical need for a family floater plan. Up to the age of 20, a child can be included in a family floater plan, and they should take a family floater. Basis on the 7-8 points that I had marked earlier, I think you should look at plans from Apollo Munich, from Max Bupa, from Bajaj Allianz, from Star Health, from Bharti AXA. I think these plans are good plans, and you should hone in on these and concentrate there, including Oriental Insurance. But it being government, there could be slight service issues. That's all.
Well, we have Barun Sharma with us from Gurgaon. Now, he wants to know the details of critical illness health insurance policy and why is that important.
Okay. So I'll give you a very simple example. A friend of mine was having tea in his house, and his wife suddenly complained of a headache. After about 5-7 days, she went to hospital. She had a brain tumor. For the next 3 years, they had expenses. The total expenses over these 3 years came to about 40 lakh rupees. And that is what a critical illness is. A critical illness hits you unexpected, and there's a large expense, heart attacks, etc. Heart attacks, brain tumor, cancer. These are typical critical. There are 27 critical illnesses. There are two kinds of plans you get. You get a plan from a general insurance company, and you get a plan from a life insurance company, and they both have their advantages and disadvantages. From a general insurance company, typically you would get a 5 lakh sum assured critical illness for between 1500 to 3000 rupees, and there are multiple companies. They go from Bajaj to Apollo to Bharti AXA to HDFC Argo. You get various plans, and you can look at them. There are also life insurance companies that have started offering these plans. There's a specific plan from Aviva which covers 14 of these 27 critical illnesses. The advantage of taking it from a life insurance company is your premium gets fixed for a long period of time. So you take one policy which lasts 10 years, 20 years, and your premium is fixed, and the policy can't be cancelled because you have one problem or the other. The other advantage of a life insurance company is you just get the entire amount in one go. So whether your expense is 2 lakhs or 5 lakhs, you get the entire 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs in one go.
Right, we've got a viewer who's on the phone with us, Shilpi. Shilpi, go ahead. What's your question?
Yeah, I want to ask that I am a newly married girl, and I want to know that is there any health insurance policy that covers the cost of hospitalization for maternity purposes and the neonatal care thereafter?
Yes, there certainly is. You could take a Max Bupa plan, but you would have to plan at least 2 years in advance, because you would have to have the policy for 2 years running, after which it would cover these costs. If you wanted to wait a little longer, which is 4 years, then pretty much any health insurance policy would start covering maternity.
And typically, what would the cover be like? What would it cost?
It would essentially, the cover of these policies, depending on what kind of sum assured you were taking, can be between 5,000. So, you know, let's take a 3 lakh cover. A 3 lakh cover would typically cost about 5,000 rupees. It will go from about 4,000 to about 8,000 for an individual. And yes, they would also have the maternity cover included. Now the point is, yes, over a 3-year period it might make sense, but you know, that's your call.
We've got Shravan with us, who's emailed and asked which is the best health Mediclaim insurance policy available in the market in terms of number one, reimbursement services for the age group between 51 and 59, and third he asks is cashless and hassle-free services.
Okay, so see, that's the worst stage today in India for getting a health policy is between 51 to 59, or rather 60, up to 59, because after 60, co-payment policies start, and in co-payment policies there is no medical, and you can get in, and some of these co-payment policies last all life. So the Star Health policy will last all life, so you can wait to get 60 and then buy it. So please try and get it before 45 if you can. Otherwise, just wait till you are 60 if it is, you know, if it's not very critical, and you would come under the senior citizen plans, which have co-payment options, but the coverage starts from day one, including pre-existing diseases, which start getting covered from within 90 days, sorry.
Okay. We've got Neeraj from Mumbai. He asks about the family floater plan. What is it and what are the advantages?
Okay, so let's take a family flow of 4 people, and let's say they take a coverage of 5 lakh rupees. Now, one of the people falls sick and they have a 3 lakh expense. So that means 3 lakh of that family floater is used up. Now, any other member of the family can use up the remaining 2 lakhs. Likelihood is somebody else could fall sick, but they may not need all 5 lakhs. Now, these plans, if each of these family members had taken a 5 lakh cover individually, it would have cost about 2 to 3 times more. So typically a family floater plan costs a lot less, spreads out the risk of within the family, and you know, you get easier coverage. As long as it's a nuclear family with parents being in the below 45, below 50 range at least, and kids being below 20, it makes sense. I think buying a family plan beyond that, when the kids have become an adult or is beyond 20, and you're trying to take a plan including parents does not make sense. So that's the broad category of family floaters. Typically start at an age when the oldest member is about 30 and go on till when the oldest member is about 50 and the kid is about 20. So that's the plan I would recommend.
Well, before we end this show, Yashish, what are the 3 top do's and don'ts for anybody considering health insurance?
Well, first of all, buy your health insurance before you turn 40. It gets more and more difficult as you look out into the future. Secondly, figure out what you really want. Do you want health insurance covered? Do you want to be covered for critical illness? Do you want to be covered for personal accidents? Do you want to be covered as a family? Do you realize as the family grows up what that will mean? Because as people start falling into different categories in terms of post 60, before 60. So think about that. And lastly, always compare before buying. Please do not buy on the advice of one single agent or anything of the sort, because people are usually telling you what's good for their commission. Whereas once you compare on your own, you are making the decision by yourselves. So please do compare before you buy. I think that's very important.
Thanks, Yashish. Now that brings us to an end of this episode of Policy Bazaar. For our next episode, we'll be comparing child plans. So if you have any questions, you can write to us on Twitter at PolicyBazaar_in or on Facebook at Policy Bazaar India. That's all for now. See you next week. Goodbye.